There is a law beneath all laws, and it whispers through every breath you take. What you feel, you create. You do not manifest by thought alone, for thought is only the shadow of feeling. The true secret lies not in the idea, but in the vibration beneath it, in that invisible current that you call emotion. Every moment of your life you are impressing upon the subconscious the feeling of being, and the world around you is nothing but its echo. You may think you are living among things and people, but you are living within your own mood, and that mood hardens into fact. So I tell you, feeling is the secret. The conscious mind is the male principle, the active, the sower of seed. The subconscious is the womb, the receptive, the fertile ground of creation. Whatever you impress upon her, she will bring forth in your world. She does not argue, she does not reason. She only accepts the impression given to her through feeling and gives it form. She does not distinguish between truth and falsehood, good or evil, noble or base. To her, all things are equally possible. And so, the man who feels lack, though he prays for abundance, must receive more lack. The man who feels fear, though he begs for safety, must live within fear's reflection. You are told to ask, believing you have received, and it shall be yours. Why? Because the act of believing is the act of feeling. When you feel something as true, your subconscious accepts it and creates it without hesitation. Thought by itself does nothing. Thought clothed in feeling becomes the creative word made flesh. So learn this law, and you will no longer waste your days in empty affirmations. To feel is to assume the wish fulfilled. To assume is to live in the end, to become one with the desire before the evidence. If you wish to know the power that builds your world, look not at your circumstances, but at the emotions that dominate your nights. When you lie down to sleep, the door between conscious and subconscious opens. What you feel in those last quiet moments is impressed upon the womb of creation. If you sleep in worry, you will rise into more worry. If you sleep in peace, you will awaken into peace. The key to transformation is not struggle, but surrender. Surrender to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The world is yourself, pushed out. There is no other. Everything you see is consciousness made visible, shaped by the tone of your inner life. You are not a victim of fate. You are the operant power. You have been given imagination, that divine faculty by which God created the universe, and you are called to use it as He did, through love. Love is simply feeling perfected. When you imagine lovingly for yourself or another, you are harmonizing with the eternal law. You have no enemy but your own state of consciousness. Do not fight circumstances, for they are only the past made visible. Do not curse the harvest when it is only the seed returning home. Instead, plant a new seed through feeling. Let the old die of neglect. You cannot serve two masters, the old belief and the new assumption. Choose this day whom you will serve. If you wish to be free, withdraw attention from the things you dislike and place it upon the state you desire to express. Feel it until it becomes natural, until your mind stops saying, "I wish," and begins to say, "I am." This is not self-deception. This is creation. The world was never meant to show you what is real. It was meant to reveal what you believe. Many will tell you to struggle, to force, to plan. But creation is not effort. It is acceptance. The creative act is the act of rest. When you have felt something so real that you can rest in it, you have already finished it. The bridge of incidents, the series of events that will lead you to its fulfillment, will form itself. You need not know how. The subconscious will orchestrate it through ways you could never conceive. You may say, "But I do not feel it yet." Then persist until you do. Feeling is not forced, it is nurtured. Practice living in imagination as if the desire were already true. Use the senses inwardly. Hear the voices you would hear if it were so. See the faces. Touch the objects. Feel the atmosphere of completion. The moment it feels natural, you have done your work. Be careful what feelings you entertain, for the subconscious accepts all with equal faith. To dwell in resentment is to sow poison. To dwell in forgiveness is to sow freedom. To feel inferior is to call forth humiliation. To feel divine is to awaken the Christ within. The law is impartial. The law is mechanical. But love, which is the spirit behind the law, will always move through the channels of joy. So, feel joy deliberately. Choose peace as your dwelling place. Do not wait for the outer world to change before you feel differently. That is the trick of the unawakened. They look for evidence before faith, forgetting that evidence is born of faith. All creation begins with a state of consciousness. If you would change your life, you must change your state. This is done by assumption, and assumption is felt, not thought. The secret of feeling is not to force a mood, but to yield to it. Close your eyes and surrender to the tone of your desired state. If it is love you seek, then feel loved. If it is success, then feel successful. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now, in this breath. The subconscious lives only in the present. It knows no future. What you feel now, it creates now. That is why you must live mentally in the end. Every man moves through states. There is no permanent heaven or hell, only the state you occupy by feeling. The world responds not to who you are, but to who you believe yourself to be. And belief is only sustained feeling. So let us no longer ask how to change the world. Let us ask only how to feel differently. If you can feel the reality of your wish, you have set creation in motion. The rest is silence. Feeling is the secret, the bridge between desire and its fulfillment, the law by which all things come to be. Guard it well, use it wisely. And remember, you are not a beggar before the universe. You are the universe imagining itself through the mask of man. Now, let us go into the silence. Awareness is the one and only reality. Everything that you see, everything that you feel, everything that you call life is only the reflection of awareness assuming form. Nothing exists outside of consciousness. It is not contained within the body. The body is contained within it. You are not a man trying to awaken to God. You are God pretending to be a man. Awareness is the power behind every creation, the invisible cause of every visible effect. And this power, my friend, is not somewhere else. It is not hidden in the stars or buried in the scriptures. It is the I am within you. You may believe that things happen to you, that events move according to chance, but I tell you, nothing happens that is not called forth by awareness. The world is a mirror, and it reflects not your words, but your consciousness. If you wish to know your tomorrow, look at your mood today. For your mood is your measure of faith, and faith is feeling. Whatever you assume with conviction, you will inevitably experience. Change your conception of yourself, I have said, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. For the world is yourself pushed out. Awareness is the root of all creation. It is the cause behind cause, the unseen builder of every bridge of incidents. You are always aware of something. The question is, of what? Are you aware of fear or faith, of lack or fulfillment? Whatever dominates your awareness becomes your experience. You can measure your state of consciousness by the conditions of your life. Nothing enters your world uninvited. Every person, every situation, every challenge is the projection of some inner assumption waiting to be recognized and redeemed. This is the power of awareness, the realization that you are both the observer and the creator, the witness and the word. Be still and know that I am God means be still and know that your awareness is God. The moment you become aware of being something, you begin to express it. Awareness does not argue, it accepts. It accepts the assumption as true and begins to mold your world accordingly. There is no greater creative act than to quietly declare within yourself, I am. For the name of God is not a word, it is a state. The secret of creation is the secret of assumption. To assume is to feel the truth of something before the senses can prove it. The moment you assume, the subconscious moves and the universe obeys. The power of awareness lies not in effort, but in recognition. You do not create by doing, you create by being. You cannot add anything to the infinite. You can only rearrange the patterns of consciousness within it. When you change the way you see yourself, the world must change its form to match. People will act differently, doors will open where there were none, and what seemed impossible will become inevitable. But you must begin with yourself. Stop trying to change the shadows on the wall. Change the light that casts them. Change awareness. Every belief you hold is an assumption of consciousness. Every emotion is a vibration of awareness. When you persist in an assumption long enough to make it natural, it hardens into fact. The law never fails. The outer world cannot resist the inner conviction. It is written, according to your faith, be it unto you, and faith is simply awareness aligned with certainty. Do not mistake knowledge for awakening. Many know the words, few live them. You may repeat affirmations, you may study the law, but until you feel the truth of I am, you have not yet moved from theory into power. The awakened man does not wait for signs. He moves as if the promise were already fulfilled. He rests in the awareness of completion and lets life organize itself around that rest. You are not a mind searching for truth. You are the truth revealing itself through mind. The power of awareness is the power to choose your conception of yourself. Choose this day whom you will serve, said the Scripture. Will you serve the old man, the limited identity bound by memory, or will you serve the new man, the awakened consciousness of freedom? Every moment of awareness is a moment of choice. When you say I am and then follow it with limitation, you build a prison. When you say I am and follow it with freedom, you open the gates of heaven. The law is the same in both directions. The direction depends on your awareness. You can move from sickness to health, from poverty to plenty, from fear to faith, not by striving but by shifting the center from which you see. You must claim it inwardly, and the outer will conform. This is why you are told to live in the end. The end is not a future moment. It is a state of fulfilled awareness. When you live in the end, you are living from the awareness of having arrived. You cease to struggle because you know it is done. Every time you return to that feeling, you reinforce the pattern. Every time you doubt, you loosen it. But even doubt can serve you if it drives you back to awareness. Your awareness is the light of the world. What you are aware of being, you become. If you are aware of being unloved, you project rejection. If you are aware of being loved, you attract affection. If you are aware of being poor, you reproduce limitation. But the moment you become aware of abundance, the world reconfigures to mirror it. The outer is always obedient to the inner. There is no magic in this. It is law. It is the same law by which the seed becomes the tree. The seed contains within itself the pattern of the oak. Your awareness contains within itself the pattern of your life. As within, so without. Change the seed, and the fruit must change. When you fully awaken to this, you no longer ask for things. You assume states. You no longer chase success. You embody it. You no longer pray as a beggar. You commune as the beloved. The power of awareness turns prayer into identity. It transforms hope into realization. The world may tell you otherwise. It may scream limitation, point to facts, insist that things are solid and separate. But awareness precedes form. Facts are the footprints of faith. You are not called to fight the evidence. You are called to transcend it. Feel the invisible as more real than the visible, and the visible will yield. The unawakened man reacts to life. The awakened man creates through inner alignment. He no longer seeks causes outside himself, for he knows all cause is within. He lives as awareness, and awareness lives as him. Such a man walks in quiet confidence, untouched by appearances, because he knows the secret. Everything is consciousness expressing. If you truly grasp this, you will cease to fear. You will cease to envy. You will cease to strive. You will simply know, and knowing will be enough. The power of awareness is not gained. It is remembered. It was never lost, only forgotten in the dream of separation. Now you awaken to it again. Feel this truth. I am the resurrection and the life. This is not about death and time. It is the declaration that awareness resurrects all that seems lost. The moment you assume a new state, the old begins to die, and the new begins to rise. It may take time for the world to catch up, but the change is already finished in consciousness. The harvest is certain. You are awareness itself, vast, creative, eternal. You have never been anything else. The world you see is the shadow of your assumption, so assume wisely. Let no idle feeling take root. Guard the gate of your mind and heart, for there lies the workshop of creation. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that awareness is God. Be still and every form will bow before the stillness. Imagination is the creative power of God in man. It is the one substance from which all things are made, the invisible cause behind every visible effect. The world you see is not the limit of reality, but the shadow of your imagination made solid by belief. Every structure, every discovery, every sorrow, and every joy has its root in imagination. You do not observe creation, you participate in it. The secret is not in asking, "What should I do?" but in realizing, "What am I imagining?" For imagination is not a weak fantasy. It is the engine of existence. To awaken imagination is to awaken God within you. The unawakened man calls imagination daydreaming, illusion, or escape. He worships facts and calls them truth. But facts are only the fossilized footprints of imagination, once active and now forgotten. The awakened man knows that the world is consciousness externalized, and that imagination is the instrument of consciousness. What you imagine with feeling becomes your world. Man's chief delusion, Neville said, is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. Look deeply, and you will see that this is true. The cause of all that you experience is the unseen picture you continually hold within. To awaken imagination is to reclaim authorship of your reality. It is to stop living reactively and begin living creatively. Close your eyes and you will find the workshop of eternity behind the veil of thought. There, every image, every scene, every sensation you accept as true begins to assemble itself into fact. The mind is not divided between real and unreal. It is divided between attended and unattended. What you attend to with feeling, you make real. The process is simple, yet sacred. Imagine the end. Do not worry about the means. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Dwell in the scene until it feels natural. Let the emotion of fulfillment fill your body as if it were happening now. Then, rest in that state. This act, performed in quiet faith, is the creative act itself. The world must mirror it. Imagining creates reality, Neville wrote, not metaphorically, but literally. You may ask, isn't imagination only mental? But the mind is not limited to the skull. Consciousness is not confined by flesh. The brain is only the instrument, not the musician. Imagination is the living vibration of awareness shaping substance into form. It acts through unseen channels, moving people, circumstances, and time itself to fulfill its own prophecy. When you imagine, you are writing the future. When you imagine with love, you are writing heaven. In the silence between thoughts lies the power to command. It does not shout, it knows. The creative act requires not strain, but conviction. You need not force the image. You need only accept it. The acceptance itself is the movement of God through you. This is why Neville called imagination the Christ in man. Christ is not a person outside of you. He is your imagination awakening to its divine function. To awaken Christ is to awaken the creative consciousness that says, I and my Father are one. Everything in your life can change when imagination is disciplined by love. You cannot imagine hate and find peace. You cannot imagine fear and find freedom. You must govern imagination as a king governs his realm. Feed it noble images, holy moods, generous visions. The world you inhabit tomorrow depends entirely on what your imagination consumes tonight. The state you occupy in imagination is the seed of experience. As you feel, so shall you live. When you pray, you are not asking an external deity to intervene. You are adjusting your inner image until it matches the divine order. Prayer is imagination aligned with love. To pray successfully, you must imagine lovingly. To imagine lovingly, you must forgive. For resentment binds imagination to the past. Forgiveness frees it to create anew. When you release another from blame, you release yourself from bondage. The moment you bless what once you cursed, the pattern changes and life blooms again. This is the art of revision, the greatest gift of awakened imagination. Look back upon your day, not as a record of fact, but as clay to be reshaped. See every mistake corrected, every word spoken kindly, every moment redeemed. Feel the peace of that revised scene as if it had truly happened. Then, sleep in that feeling. The subconscious will accept it and alter the patterns of your life accordingly. Time is no obstacle to imagination. The past is not fixed, it is flexible. Every state of consciousness coexists now, waiting to be reimagined. You may think this impossible, but the awakened know that the past persists only through memory, and memory is imagination in reverse. To change memory is to change identity, and to change identity is to change destiny. The man who no longer remembers his failures cannot continue to fail, for he has become someone else. There is no fiction, Neville said. If something can be imagined, it can be realized. When you awaken imagination, you no longer seek permission from the world to dream. You realize the world has been dreaming through you all along. Your vision is not rebellion against reality. It is reality's next chapter waiting for your consent. The imagination of one man can uplift a nation, heal a wound, or inspire an age. Every movement of progress began as a private vision held in silence by someone who refused to bow to appearances. But with power comes responsibility. Whatever you imagine with intensity leaves its mark on the field of consciousness. You cannot imagine harm without harming yourself, for all minds are one. The law is unity. To bless another is to bless yourself. To curse another is to imprison yourself. So guard imagination with compassion. Let love be its law and faith its language. To awaken imagination is to rediscover the kingdom within. The outer world is a reflection, but the source is inside. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Heaven is not a location, it is a vibration, the state of consciousness that knows its creative power and uses it wisely. You enter heaven whenever you dwell in love. You fall from heaven whenever you dwell in fear. Every ascent begins in imagination. And now, let us speak of persistence. For imagination, once awakened, must be sustained. It is not enough to see the vision once. You must live in it. Return to it morning and night. Let it become more familiar than your current world. The old state will resist. Appearances will tempt you to doubt. Ignore them. They are echoes of a vanishing dream. Hold fast to your vision until it feels inevitable. When it feels natural, it must manifest. Do not wait for signs. They will follow you. Do not ask when. It is already done. Imagination is timeless. The delay you perceive is only the adjustment of the outer world to the new inner pattern. Trust the law. Trust your inner Christ. Trust imagination. The day will come when you no longer speak of manifestation, for the separation between thought and thing will dissolve. You will simply imagine and experience like breathing. This is the natural rhythm of the awakened soul. Then you will understand that creation was never a process, but a state, the eternal now unfolding through awareness. So tonight, when you close your eyes, do not drift into sleep as the man of yesterday. Fall asleep as the man you wish to be. Feel the world from that height. Hear the sounds of your fulfilled dream. Smell the air of completion. Let the scene become alive, not as something to reach, but as something to remember. The imagination will take you there. For imagination is not fantasy. It is reality's workshop, God's method, your birthright. The world is imagination outpoured. When you awaken to this truth, you cease to fear, for you know that every possibility lies within you. You are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation, the cause and the effect. And now, my beloved, let us go into the silence. According to your faith be it unto you. Matthew 9:29, quoted by Neville Goddard, your faith is your fortune. Neville Goddard. Faith is not hope. It is not waiting, not wishing, not asking for proof. Faith is the acceptance of the unseen as already real. It is the invisible substance that builds your visible world, the quiet law behind all movement. You have been told that God created the world by the Word, but the Word was not sound. It was awareness assumed. Faith is that assumption felt as certainty. Whatever you believe to be true, whether noble or fearful, becomes your fortune. Every man lives by faith, though few know it. Each feeling you sustain, each conviction you refuse to question, writes its pattern upon the fabric of your life. Faith does not argue, it creates. It listens only to emotion, not to logic. If you believe in failure with feeling, failure must come. If you believe in love with gratitude, love must come. The law is impartial. Your fortune is nothing more than your faith made visible. You cannot serve two masters, belief and doubt. You must choose this day whom you will serve. To believe a thing is to make it alive. To doubt it is to let it die. There is no other creator but your own consciousness, no other power but your own assumption. The world responds not to words, but to vibration. What you feel deeply, you materialize. Faith begins where reason ends. Reason can only measure what already exists. Faith brings into being what does not yet appear. The man of reason looks for evidence before belief. The man of faith believes before evidence, knowing that the unseen shapes the seen. This is not superstition. It is the hidden science of being. The brain itself follows this law. Neurons fire not only in response to what is observed, but in anticipation of what is expected. Faith is the nervous system's creative command. When you say, I have faith, do not mean hope, do not mean desire. Mean certainty. Faith is the calm knowing that the seed is already planted and will bloom in due season. You do not dig up the seed every day to check its progress. You trust the soil. So it is with your consciousness. Once you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, rest. Rest in conviction. Let the unseen do its perfect work. Your fortune is not determined by labor, but by belief. Action follows faith as shadow follows light. The man who acts without faith exhausts himself. The man who acts from faith moves effortlessly. When you are certain within, the outer world arranges itself to reflect your certainty. You will find that things and people move in harmony with your inner state, for all are aspects of one consciousness. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not. Yet they manifest beauty because they live according to their nature. They are not anxious, they are aligned. Faith is alignment with your own divine nature. When you know who you are, you stop begging the world to confirm it. You simply express it, and the world bends to your awareness. Neville said, "To the pure in heart, all things are pure." The heart is pure when it is single, when your attention is not divided between fear and faith, between the seen and the unseen. The double-minded man receives nothing because his vibration cancels itself. One moment he believes, the next he doubts. The law cannot build on unstable ground. Choose your vision and remain loyal to it. Every state of consciousness exists now. You do not create the future, you select it. Each possibility waits in the eternal present. Faith is the act of choosing one among infinite states and claiming it as your own. When you say, "I am," and add any quality to it, you enter that state. I am wealthy. I am free. I am loved. The more you repeat it with feeling, the more real it becomes. Soon, it ceases to be affirmation and becomes identity. The man of faith walks in quiet confidence. He does not boast or explain. He knows that the unseen is already accomplished. He can look upon chaos and still say, "All is well." He is not blind to appearances, but he refuses to be ruled by them. His vision is inward, and the outer world yields to it. Faith requires discipline. The mind will wander. The senses will tempt. Fear will whisper. But persistence transforms faith into certainty. Each time you return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you deepen the pattern in the subconscious. The impression grows stronger until it expresses itself effortlessly. It is written, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." The heart is feeling. The thought without feeling is powerless. The feeling without doubt is divine. When you face delay or disappointment, do not despair. Delay is not denial, it is gestation. The seed must take root before it breaks the soil. Keep your faith alive during the invisible phase. The universe is arranging the bridge of incidents. Your only task is to remain faithful. Your faith need not be loud or dramatic. It may whisper, but it must not waver. Even the smallest certainty held steadily can move mountains. You do not need more faith, you need less contradiction. One clear conviction outweighs 1,000 hopes. To those who ask how to have faith, I say, begin by assuming the end. Close your eyes and feel the reality of your fulfilled desire. Imagine the scene that would follow the realization of your wish. Feel the emotion of accomplishment. Dwell there until it feels natural. Then release it and live as though it were already true. That feeling, if sustained, must harden into fact. Faith is imagination clothed in certainty. It is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the cause behind every miracle. Without faith, imagination remains idle. With faith, it becomes the creative power of God. You are not told to have faith in others, but in yourself, in the God within who dreams through you. Do not seek signs from the world. Seek the sign within, the peace that says, "It is done." Peace is the atmosphere of answered prayer. If you are still restless, you have not yet believed. Calm yourself and let the conviction settle. When you truly know, anxiety ends. Faith does not depend on virtue or intellect. It is available to all, for all are expressions of one consciousness. The law does not choose favorites. It simply returns to each according to his belief. Therefore, bless your belief. Speak well of your assumption. Protect it from doubt and gossip. Treat it as sacred, for it is your seed of creation. When storms arise, remember this: the storm is within, not without. Change the inner weather, and the outer must follow. If fear comes, face it with faith. Say to yourself, "I will not let this feeling define me." Replace it with the opposite mood and persist until peace returns. This is the battle every man must fight, the battle between the old state and the new. The victory belongs to the one who remains faithful to his chosen identity. To believe is to create. To know is to rest. When faith ripens into knowing, manifestation is effortless. You no longer wonder whether it will happen. You know it already has. You see through time as one sees through glass. The end is here. The beginning was only illusion. So, my friend, whatever you desire, claim it now. Assume its feeling. Let the heart say, "It is done." Walk as though it were impossible to fail. The law will prove you right, for indeed your faith is your fortune. Now, let us go into the silence. If these words found you, they were meant to. Don't just listen. Awaken. Follow this voice, this space, this path, and together we'll go deeper into the science of faith. Like the video. Share it with one soul who's ready. Subscribe. And remember, every thought creates, every feeling builds. This is your reminder. The power was never out there. It was always you.